يا منزل الآيات والفرقان بيني وبينك حرمة القرآن.
The idea of just getting Islamic knowledge, people see it like it's not possible. Like we see these ulama, like where did they come from? No doubt the help of Allah is a part of that. It's a huge part at the end of the day. But there is a well-known path. It's like it might be a mountain, but there's a well-known path up that mountain. And that path is clearly signposted. And it's not a path which is necessarily difficult for you to tread. Yani there is a known path to get there. It's well marked and it's easy to follow. So you shouldn't see this to be something impossible. And I can promise you, it doesn't need you to get accepted to a university in Saudi Arabia or elsewhere. Some people feel like that, right? In their mind, if I get accepted to Medina, then I can be a person of knowledge. But that's not correct. That's not actually a good way of thinking about it. It's not because how can it be that this knowledge that is worth so much, it's only available in one tiny place in the whole world, or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10? Rather, it's a mentality first of all. It's a mentality. It's about you deciding who you want to be in the end. You want to be a wealthy businessman, or you want to be whatever, you want to be a famous person, or you want what you want to be, but ultimately one thing has to beat the others. There has to be one thing you want to be more than anything else. And if that is to be a person who removes ignorance from yourself and from others, a person of knowledge, that has to have priority over every other thing. And there's a path to tread. That path is not a difficult path in terms of describing it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tests whether you're serious about it. So let me describe that path to you in a few simple basic points. The first thing to note on that path is that the path begins with the Quran. And you start with the Quran. Now, if you're young, and when I say young, I mean under 15 years of age, let's say you're 10, or you're 7, or you're 8, or you're 11, then my advice is that your exclusive learning only is just the Quran. Because you can still finish the Quran and then study after that. And that's how the early generations did it for the children. Not for the adults, but for the children. For children, Quran comes first. And yesterday I delivered a reminder about how to memorize the Quran, and there is also information on AMAU as well. So I will leave it for there, because there is a method. There's a tried and tested method. And a lot of people, the problem with our kids is they're not following the tried and tested method of memorizing the Quran. They are memorizing, and the Shaykh is like, it's helping them a bit, and they're doing something, but they're not actually following the best practice for memorizing the Quran. I believe if you got a young child with best practice for memorizing the Quran, I don't think more than 3 years at most, and they've finished the whole Quran easily. And that's for a child of average ability. I'm not talking about a child who's an amazing hafidh, memorizes everything. A child of average ability who is dedicated, not who is off watching games and movies and whatever, who is dedicated to the Quran with a good teacher, 3 years, 4 years, they're done. For adults, it's not like that. And the reason it's not like that for an adult is, number one, you've got a lot of stuff in your head. Number two, you've got a lot of sins. Number three, your memory is not what it was when you are a very young person. And number four, you need to learn Islamic knowledge now. You can't afford to learn it in 4 years' time. You need to learn the issues, the rulings of Islam today, not in 4 years' time. So for the adult, we're going to say the Quran goes along with your Islamic studies. And so maybe it will take you a bit longer, Might take you 6 or 7 years, it might even take you 10 years. But along with that, you're studying your Islamic studies as well. The second description of the path, it begins with the Quran. Even for the adult, I would say, until you at least memorize Juz' Amma, at least, you really shouldn't be doing anything else. Make a good start for yourself. And then now when you've got a habit of memorizing the Quran properly, now you can start your other sciences. The next description on the path. Break Islam down into sciences. Don't say Islam like that. Aqidah, Hadith, Fiqh, Arabic language, and so on. Each one of those sciences, you need to achieve a core competency in every single one of them. Does that make sense? You cannot be ignorant in any of them. You cannot just learn hadith. You have to have a core competency. You don't have to be an expert, but you have to have a core competency in every single one of them. Does that make sense? Every single one. And in this core competency, it's made up of two things. It's made up of what you learn and what you memorize. Now, no doubt for adults, our memory is not great. We might only memorize a little bit, but we have to memorize something, right? Because otherwise what happens? You sit in front of the people, and if the battery dies on my iPad, Allahul Musta'an. I'm sorry, brothers, the battery has died on my iPad. There's no lecture today. Like that. That's not how we want it to be, right? Because it's not about the lecture. What about if you're out and a mas'ala, an issue happens to you right now, the water runs out? Akhi, can I make tayammum? My battery's dead. I don't know. Yeah, that's no good. You have to carry that knowledge with you. Now, no doubt we're all different in memorization. Some people are going to memorize the amount of the Quran again in their core competencies. They're going to, the equivalent length of the Quran, they will memorize the same amount of content again in hadith and seerah and Arabic language and all of that. Some will memorize even more. Some will only memorize a few pages in each one. But at least you have something that you have kept in your head from each one. Now, how do we go about it? I would say that precedence should be given for non-Arabic speakers. Precedence should be given along with the Quran to learning the Arabic language. The reason I say is when you have Arabic, your life will change. That is a promise bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Your entire life will change. Because what will happen now, you can access the scholars, the books of the scholars. Suddenly, you don't want to listen to Muhammad Tim anymore. Walillahi alhamd. I've got something better. So we need to get Arabic in there. So I would say, first of all, get your Juz' Amma, get yourself a habit of memorizing Quran. And now let's start picking up Arabic. Bit by bit, word by word, slowly. Now we have an Arabic course with Al-Madrasatul Umariyah, and you know my thoughts on it. My thoughts are like this. Focus yourself on vocabulary because you don't need a teacher. Just put yourself 5-10 words a day and learn 5-10 words. Everything in the room, you can point to it. That's what that is, that's what that is, that's what that is, that's what that is, that's what that is. You can point to everything and you can give a name for it. Learn very simple sentences first. Don't start with grammar and complexities and all of this very basic, simple stuff. But focus on it, getting it right, being accurate in it. Because in the beginning, if you're just making mistakes all the time, it takes time. So start with just concentrate on accurate sentences, just very simple, small sentences that you can make. Build up little bit by little bit, vocabulary and all of that. And one very nice way you can do it is through storybooks. The reason I like children's storybooks is you can start with stories for 3-year-olds, you can finish with stories for 15-year-olds, and you can get like 10, 20 books at each age level, and each one will give you vocabulary and sentences and all of that.